goes on to say, so Ray is the one who came to the public, and she's the one who filed for the divorce. And she says, listen, I people were, thinking I was gonna take the high road, and I, just don't believe in that because this situation is crazy. She's like, let me tell you what led to the divorce. Ray says she comes home and there's an eviction letter at the door. They're getting evicted from the place that they've been renting out. And Ray is kind of asks LaShondra, like, what's going on? Pastor L, what's going on with this thing? And Pastor L's kind of giving her the runaround. So Ray had to travel, so she goes out of town, comes back, situation is still the same. So eventually she ends up going to the leasing office to talk to them, to be like, what's going on? What's the situation? They tell her, you guys have sent in bounced checks. You are like 3 months behind rent and everything. And Ray is so shocked because she's like, what? So she's like, listen, I can pay you. And they're like, no, it's like, you can pay us or whatever, but we are terminating the contract with you guys. We basically are evicting you regardless because y'all were not paying the rent on time or properly, basically. So that's like the beginning of the drama. Ray goes out of town for fashion week. She goes to New York Fashion Week. She comes back. Basically, this is how the relationship came to an end, because Ray says that she has an issue where in the past her mom had a gambling problem and gambled all her money away and ended up with her being homeless, and she just couldn't believe that her wife had put her in the exact same situation. And she says years ago her and Pastor L had broken up for a little bit, and the reason why they broke up was because she found out that Pastor L was lying about furniture. Pastor L says, like, what happened was Pastor L and them were, she had gotten like a table, and it was supposedly from Pastor L's mom. And it was a wedding gift, supposedly. But then one day, rent a car, whatever, I don't know, the furniture place where you can rent furniture, came to their door and said, hey, we're here for the table. And she's like, what do you mean you're here for the table? That's Ray being shocked. And LaShondra, turns out that LaShondra had not, the table had not been gifted by the mom. She was renting it. And Ray was sitting there confused, like, who rents furniture? Like, I got enough money to buy a table, so why would I rent it out? Anyway, so that it almost caused them to split up, and then they got back together, and she was basically like, don't ever lie to me again about such things. Turns out that LaShondra had been lying to Ray. So a few months before that point, LaShondra's Pastor L had approached Ray and said, hey Ray, like, there's a problem. I'm just observing our neighbor who lives right above us, who makes noise, trying to see who she is. I've always known who she is, but like, I don't always get to see her. Baby, she makes noise. I can't wait to like not live above or below people anymore. Anyway, so she's like, LaShondra, Pastor L's like, hey, that loan that you co-signed for me, that you took out on my behalf, really, I haven't made some payments. I defaulted on the loan. She had defaulted. Pastor L had not paid the bill for like 3-4 months because it was in September, and she was saying, I haven't paid since May, June, July, August, September, so 4 months when that happened. So guys, this divorce is like recent, and the breakup and everything that led up to it is pretty recent too. So one, your partner is not paying the rent, FYI, Ray has been putting in half of the rent and sending it to Lashandra, but the rent's still not being paid. So your partner's still not paying the rent on time, sending in bounce checks, and now you're getting evicted. Just a little bit of like financial understanding. If you're in business and you're not on a W-2, life is harder. Like your finances need to be clean and straightforward and clear, because it's so much harder to get stuff because you don't have a paycheck, or even the way that you reach the situation, your paycheck and everything, it's different. 1, 2, if you're running a business and if you mess up certain things like renting, your renter history, if you get evicted, you mess up your renting history for a long time, very, very long time. So that was just a mess. Honestly, it was a real mess, and I totally understand why she was upset, and she had every right to be upset. So then she's like, you know what, I'm going. So basically she moves out. Ray just was like, I can't take this, I'm moving out. As soon as she moves out, she starts finding out stuff. One of her business partners is like, she owns a store. So she's telling her business partner, you know what, me and Pastor L, we're not gonna be together, things are not okay. And the business partner is like, Ray, I'm still owed by your wife for the Airbnb that they used upstairs. So apparently there's a loft above the store and it's owned by her business partner, and the business partner is like, Pastor L never paid for the Airbnb when certain guests came in from out of town. What does Ray do? Ray rings up the guest that came into town and says, Mr. and Mrs. This, I'm hearing that my business partner and her spouse are saying that they still haven't gotten paid for the Airbnb stay. And the lady's like, let me call you right back. Sends her screenshots of the money that she sent to Pastor L. So the guest sent the money to Pastor L. Pastor L was supposed to pay. Pastor L did not pay the person she was supposed to pay. And then so that's one person. Then Ray calls up one of her best friends, like, best friend, this is what I'm going through. Best friend is like, actually, friend, your wife owes me $1,000. What do you mean my wife owes you $1,000? Just before the wedding, she borrowed $1,000, said it was for your dress. Ray's like, guys, I went on Say Yes to the Dress for my wedding dress. My father paid for the dress. There was no way I could have been on a television show and not paid those people's money in full. So I didn't need money for a wedding dress. My dad paid for my wedding dress. And so it turns out that when Pastor L was telling Ray, she told Ray that, like, your friends gifted us $1,000. She was like, I just can't believe there was another person who was owing money. Come to find out. So it was just a mess. Now, just to give a little bit of background, I gave a little bit of background about Ray. Pastor L is a preacher. She is a personal coach and something like that, those kind of jobs, scammy jobs, okay? No offense meant to all those coaches and stuff like that, but like, those are like non-traditional jobs, let's say. She's also a property manager and like does all the property manager things. So it turns out Pastor L has been doing some very questionable things, accepting money for rent through Cash App, instead of doing the money orders and stuff like that. So just like doing strange things that no one would ever suspect. And Ray didn't know, so Ray came out into the public, said as much as she wanted weird stuff going on, stuff that don't make sense. Ray even posted a screenshot saying Pastor L was saying, if you want, we can speak at the house, come back to the house and we'll talk and stuff like that. Everybody's like, don't go back to the house, don't, otherwise we'll be doing a true crime series right here. They were like, don't go back to the house, like without anybody, don't meet her in public because you've just outed her on so many levels. Like, you need to be careful for your own life, right? And so yeah, like that's one of the TikTok scandals that is like hot on the streets right now, and I just wanted to share them with you and be like, oh my god, can you imagine you marry someone and you live with them for 6 years and you don't know so much about them and so much comes out. And believe me guys, the stories are worse. There's so many other stories about how she was taking advantage of like the tenants. She used to get tenants at the property that were in kind of vulnerable situations and might have been taking advantage of them. And her fidelity is also, Pastor L's fidelity in the relationship is also being called into question. So Ray feels like she was basically she was scammed. Like Pastor L came into her life to use her. And I'm like, that sounds possible, right? That sounds possible. I always get sad when I hear of things like that. I just don't like when people get taken advantage of in relationships. And 6 years it's a short time, but it's a long time at the same time. It's a long time for it to end like this, but it's a short time to justify staying with somebody beyond the drama, right? So I would say, Miss Ray, Rashonda, get out of there. Get out. I mean, she's out and she's never going back. Okay, the funny thing is people are using her little snippets as like sounds. There's one where she says, I wish you the worst.